Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. Let's create. This evening, we are going to be creating a spring pillar card, and we are going to be using the March stamp of the month that's called Just Chicken In. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay. Oh, I just lost my, there we go. Just getting everything working on the side. That's always it's always the challenge. And for some reason, my chat has disappeared. Let's see if I can't fix that. Do, 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 do. Oh, there we go. Hey, Mom, nice to see you're watching. Good evening. Good evening, Joanne. Hello, hello. So, stamp of the month for March, and this is called Just Chicken In. It's got some cute images on here. I love this little cluster of chicks. Then we've got a single chick, a chick with an egg, and then, of course, the mama hen with her little chickies. We've got a gorgeous group of daffodils here, and then a few little sentiments. Hey, chick. Just chicken in, welcome spring, happy Easter. So we're going to be using this stamp set today. We're going to be using it in conjunction with the Honey Bunny collection, which is the featured collection for the month of March. And you'll find that in the March-April catalog. If you don't have a paper copy of that catalog, you can look at the digital one online. If you're looking for the catalog online, what you want to do is you want to go onto the Close to My Heart website, or the Life is Art Close to My Heart website, and click on, in the menu, click on More, and under More you'll get to select catalogs. And then this is the March-April one. So Honey Bunny, it's a cute, really spring-themed, lots of lovely spring colors. And then, of course, we also have the stamps of the month in the back. So you'll also get a sneak peek of what's coming in April, too. So we're going to be using this one. All right, let's get started now. This is not a difficult card, so don't get worried. Sometimes when we do fun fold cards, people are like, oh, it's going to be difficult. But believe me, it's not difficult. You can do it. We're going to start with a White Daisy card base. Hey, Heather, nice to see you're watching. Good evening, good evening. And our card base is 10 and 1/8 inch. So 10 and an eighth by 5.5. And I'm going to line it up on my Versamat so I can do some scoring. So again, 10 and 1/8 by 5.5. And let me grab my ruler and my bone folder. And we're going to be scoring along this 10 and 1/8 inch side. Our first score line is going to be at 4.25, which if you had a regular card base here, that would be our center fold. So that is going to end up being ostensibly our center fold at 4.25. But then we're going to do some additional score lines to create the pillar. And so we're going to score it first at 4.25. Then we're going to score it at 5.75. So jumping over to 5.75. And if you line your ruler up with the lines on the Versamat, gives you a nice straight line to work with. So 5.75. Then we're going to jump over to 7.25. 7.25. And then the last one is 8.75. 8.75. So I'll review those numbers again, but keep in mind that I will post the measurements after we're done the video. So we've got our 10 and 1/8 by 5.5, and we've scored it at 4.25, 5.75, 7.25, and 8.75. Now we need to do some creasing on those score lines. And we have made a dip in this side of the paper. So we're going to flip it over and crease it on the bump side. Always bump side to the inside. So we're going to fold on that first one. Make sure everything lines up. And then we'll go to the second score line here. And we're making valley folds. So we're pushing this crease down into the valley, pushing the score line down into the valley, which lifts the paper up. And there you can see the valleys that we're creating. And they're all going to be scored or creased the same way, all as valley folds. There we go. And then our last one. And as soon as we're done this, you're going to see how this comes together to create the pillar for this pillar card. So automatically all those crease lines are going to fold around and create a nice little box on the side of our card. And that creates the shape that we want for our pillar card. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to put some adhesive on this flap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just fold over on this second score line from the end and add my adhesive just on this last flap. I'm going to do 3 lines of adhesive. Actually, I could open it up. So I'm putting it down with this side up. So it'll hump up like this because all those folds make it want to try and curve. So we're doing the last spot. I thought when I had it folded over like that, it might be a little confusing as to which part I was putting the adhesive on. Sometimes you got to change what you're doing in the midst of it. So we're adding our adhesive to this last part. I'll grab my piercing tool here to help me pull the backing off. Like that. There we go. Now I'm going to flip it over to the other side. So I've got this last flap here that has the adhesive on it. And I'm going to fold not the first crease line, but the second crease line so that this lays down flat. We've got a blank rectangle and then we have our sticky rectangle. And all I'm going to do now is just fold this back of the card right over top, and that will adhere this. And it will adhere it nice and flat so that we know our card is going to fold down nice and flat after the fact. We can even use our bone folder to make sure everything's laying down where we want it. Okay, so that has adhered that last tab or the last scored area onto the base of our card, creating that lovely pillar. See how easy that was? Super easy. We're just creating almost, create like a little snail and stick it together. Okay, so now it's just the decorating. So I wanted to bring in one of the pattern papers from this Honey Bunny collection, which is super cute. And it has these lovely little butterflies all over it. And I have 3 pieces. So all 3 of these pieces are the same length, but they're different widths. So 2 of them, these 2, are 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. And then this single one is 1 1/8. Nope, yes, 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so we're going to do these larger ones. Let's put some adhesive on these. And weirdly enough, we're going to decorate the outside of this box. You think about it, you're looking at the card like this. Why would we do this outside bit? Well, it's going to become clear when we fold our card up to put it in the envelope. And I'll show you here in just a second. When we fold this down to put it in the envelope, this whole chunk is going to be showing. So instead of having a blank spot, we're going to add some pattern to it. So we're just going to center that on that panel. And then we're going to add some adhesive to this second piece that is 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. The back side of this is that gorgeous plaid, which would also look lovely on this card. There we go. But I wanted a little bit more pattern, and I thought that the butterflies were just what I wanted. Because this is a spring card. So this other piece is going to go on this side of the pillar. So this part we're leaving blank for now. So we've got our outside piece, a blank piece, and now if we fold it out to the left, we're going to put this on the furthest right piece of the pillar, section of the pillar. So now those two patterns are back to back on that pillar, just like that, on opposite sides. And then this last piece, we're going to add some adhesive to this. It's going to go on the base of the card, or the inside of the card. You can look at it two different ways. It's kind of a different little fun fold. So the inside is kind of the outside. So what happens here is if we fold this down, this 1 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece is going to center itself in this remaining space when the pillar is folded flat. And that gives us a really nice look when it first comes out of the envelope. And then it's also going to give us a lovely look when it's on display. All right. Now the last piece we're going to put on here of a solid chunk is I decided to use a piece of peach cardstock for this, and it's the same size as this one. Yes? No, it's not. I wrote down the measurement wrong. It's 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. I was just thinking it was the same one, and then I thought, no, it can't be the same one. I'm going to fix my mistake because it has to match the other ones. So peach cardstock is 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. And we're going to adhere that to the front panel of our pillar card. It's good to catch those mistakes now before I type them out and stick them up for everybody who's trying to cut paper, and then they're going to be like, she said it was only 1/8 and now it's too small. Alrighty. So 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. There we go. That's good. Alrighty. So now we just have to do our decorating. So we're going to bring in that Just Chicken In stamp of the month. I'm going to scooch this out of the way. We're going to bring in some white daisy for stamping. And I'll bring in my other Versamat here so I can do some nice stamping on it. I've got the florals, the daffodils from this collection, already loaded up on this block here. I'm going to stamp it with intense black ink because we're going to do some coloring. Just going to ink it up, and this is just a scrap piece of white daisy out of my drawer. And so it's not quite the right size. So we're just going to put it on an angle. There we go. Make sure we've got it all stamped on there. And then we're also going to stamp the little chickie, the single one, without the egg. Stamp that on there like that. So cute. I love chickens. My husband knows this, and he does woodworking, so he makes me little chickens. Look at these guys. Aren't they so cute? Oh my goodness. He's made me like a whole family of them. I think I've got 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 13 little chickens, and they're all different kinds of wood. This guy's got glasses. They're so cute. Hubby knows I like the chickens. So let's do some coloring on here. Actually, we'll leave that there because we're going to do some more stamping and whatnot in a minute. So we've got some things on here that need to be yellow. So we're going to come in with our light yellow Spectrum Noir tri-blend marker. We're going to start out with the lightest color first, and we're just going to go ahead and color our daffodils. Now, I'm not too worried whether there's any white showing, okay? Because daffodils can have white, they can have yellow. I'm sure there's many other colors daffodils can be. So I'm not going to get concerned about any white bits. So I'm just generally putting color on there, okay? I'm not trying to fill in every nook and cranny. Just getting some color. In fact, if there is some white on there, I think that kind of gives it some nice definition. There we go. And with the way this stamp is, Um, you don't have to be crazy great at coloring either. You just add in some color. There's lots of lines on this particular stamp, with all the elements of the floral, all the, what am I trying to say? The veins on the petals and things. So, you just kind of fill it in. It's not getting too technical. And then we're going to take the mid and we're going to add a little bit more yellow, kind of starting at the base of each petal and working up, not all the way, just maybe half. Especially in spots where it's kind of under the edge of something, it kind of creates a little bit of shadow when you add a little bit of darker color in there, like that. So cute. And then a little bit more there. And I'm trying to go kind of like the length of the petals, so you'll see me going in all different directions, because I'm trying to kind of keep it looking like if you could see the brush strokes, they would be going the direction of the petal, if that makes sense. And then we're going to come in with the dark and just add a little tiny touch right at the very base, just to add some deeper color and definition. Do. Always got to do a little bit of do singing when we're coloring. I can only imagine what my family thinks I'm doing in here when I'm doing. Oh, we forgot this little guy up here. This little bud. Let's add some colors there. All right. Now, because like usual, I don't like to add a lot of mix of colors on one particular project in terms of coloring, I'm going to use the same light yellow on our little chickie here. So I'm just going to add some of the light first. And again, we're just going to do kind of brush strokes, and because he's got feathers. So a little bit of brush strokes kind of gives you that impression of texture, like that. And then we'll come in with the mid and add some color under there and under there and on his wing. He's so cute. And then the dark, we'll do the same thing, just a little bit under there, under there. Oh my goodness, so sweet. And then the last thing I want to come in with is the gold yellow. And now I'm trying to remember which one I wanted to use. I think it's the mid. Yes, the mid of the gold yellow. And I'm going to put a little bit in the center of my daffodils, just where the little, what are they, stamens are. We'll just add a little bit of that there. And then I'm going to do the little beak and the feet of my little chickie. Little chickies always look like they have such big feet, but I gotta keep them from falling over, so it makes sense. The little chickies have big feet. All right, and then we're going to come in and do some of the greenery on the flower here, and I'm using the citrus green for this one, which I thought would be great because it's got that little bit of yellow tinge going on, so it's going to look nice with the daffodils. And we're going to start with the light, and just everywhere that there's supposed to be green, we're going to add some green. So we're going to go down all the leaves and fill that in. Sometimes you have to kind of pay attention, because I probably should have left a little bit of a blank somewhere in there. But we'll just try and pay attention to where these stems are going in the leaves. All the way along. There we go. The top of this one. Lovely. And then some more down here. And you start mumbling to yourself when you get to this point. Always got to do the mumbling. And then we're going to switch to the mid just to add a little definition. So I'm going to kind of go on the left side of the leaves with a little bit extra, just to come in with the mid color and add a little bit of something like that. when you add a little touch of another color in there, it just kind of makes it a little more vivid, I think, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Oops, shifting everything around. There we go. And then last but not least, we're going to add a little bit of shadow with some brown gray, which you would think would be a weird color to add, but orangey yellow colors are heading towards brown, right? My husband always likes to say when he's doing photography with people, everybody's got orange skin. Some of us just have lighter orange and some of us have darker orange, but it's all orange. So brown gray works to do shadows on things that are yellow and orange and things like that, as opposed to like the ice gray, which has more of a blue tinge to it. So we can come in and we can do a little bit of shadow under the daffodil there and under some of the petals and around here and inside a little bit. It just makes it pop a little more, makes it stand out. There we go. And maybe on the underside of that. And then, of course, on our little chickie, we can go around his wing like that, under his tummy, and down here on his feet. Good. We don't have to do much more than that. And now we get to do the fun of fussy cutting. I sing when I fussy cut too. First, we're going to rough cut. We're going to go around. Now, with the stamps of the month, there is an option to purchase the thin cuts if they're available. So that's something to look at if you're somebody who does not like to do this fussy cutting process. But if you're like me and you like fussy cutting, then you just get the stamp. And then you have the fun of fussy cutting. So we're just going to go around. We're going to pivot our paper, leaving our halo of white as we go. I've got my most favorite crafting item here, my micro tip scissors, all the way around. These are actually out of stock, but they're coming back sometime in March. And I'm actually on the website about 10 times a day waiting for these to come back because I'm going to have to get at least one more pair. Just because it will be a sad day if any of my... I have 2 pairs already. It will be a sad day if one of my 2 pairs goes kaput. So I'm going to have one. I might frame it. Put it under glass, you know, in case of emergency, break glass. I know, it's silly, but it's true. It's true. I'll be so sad. All right. So let's go around and continue. We're doing the daffodils now, and you can decide how much detail you want to do with your fussy cutting. I did one of these earlier, and I did some interior fussy cutting. I'm not going to do it on this one because you don't want to sit here and watch me do crazy things. Like cut out 3 little chunks of inside piece, you know. It might just be a little bit of overkill, perhaps. It might just be a step too far with the fussy cutting. But just so you know, I did it already. On the other card. Alrighty, we're going around. We're getting to the home stretch. We're down the other side. I always almost get the feeling, you know, when you watch like a race or car races or something, and you know, you're down to the home stretch and they're rounding the last bend. That's how I feel when I'm talking to myself when I'm fussy cutting. We're almost there. You know, the things that keep us amused while we craft. Sometimes it's good to turn on a movie to watch when you're doing fussy cutting, and then people don't hear you talking to yourself so much. You can say, "Oh, it was just the show I was watching. It was the movie. It wasn't me." Joanne says she understands. She knows how it is. You got to sing to yourself when you color. You got to talk to yourself when you fussy cut. Yep, it's all part of the process. There we go. Last little bit. Okay. Scooch that into the trash. And let's bring in our card. Where did I put it? Here. This is where I put it. All right, so we've got these two items. Oh, I need to stamp the sentiment for the front. So for the sentiment, I've got a piece of white daisy that I cut to 2 inches by 1 inch, and I've got a piece of black cardstock that is 2 1/8 by 1 1/8. And I've got the sentiment Welcome Spring, which I like because then it can be for something other than Easter. It doesn't have to be Easter, it's just fun springtime. We're going to simply stamp this up with the intense black ink. That's the word I'm looking for as I stamp away. And set that aside. We can stick these two together. Now I'm not adding any foam tape to this card. I think it's got a lovely bit of dimension going on already with that pillar that stands out. It's outstanding. And let's center that on top of the black cardstock. Then we can bring this in. And I'm going to squish this down so I can get a good look. Now we can have our things hang over the edges of this peach section of the card. But we need to make sure that we only adhere them to the peach section of the card. So I'm going to just apply adhesive to the right-hand side of my sentiment. Just like that. And that way our card will still move when we want to open it up and put it on display. I'm going to just kind of set it off to the left side here, equal amount of peach at the top and the side. And then I'm going to come in with my daffodils, and I'm only going to put adhesive just down the center, just a strip of adhesive. Now, if you wanted to do gluing, you could definitely, with liquid glue, you could add more. But I'm just doing that, and that will actually make my my flowers kind of lift automatically without having any foam tape, because all these are loose. They can kind of curl up and do all sorts of fun things. And then we've got our little chickie here. Let's add a couple pieces of adhesive to this guy. And he's going to come down here, and part of his job is actually to cover the base of the flowers, because I kind of think that it looks weird to have the base of the flowers coming out of nowhere. They're just kind of popping out of the card, which it's not terrible, but it just kind of looks odd. So part of his job is he's actually going to cover that. Just make sure I don't have adhesive on his back end there. And we're going to stick them down there like that. Alrighty. So there, the front of our pillar is pretty much decorated, but we want to add a little sentiment on the inside. Now this part could be for where we want to write our message, but keep in mind we have this entire back of the card to write a message on. So we're going to add a little sentiment in there. And from the stamp of the month, we have this one that says, just chicken in. You know, you're checking on somebody, you're chicken in. And so I've got a piece of black cardstock for this task. Let me just grab that. And a piece of scrap paper. And I've loaded it up here on my block. And I want to grab my stuff for doing some heat embossing. So I've got my Versamark, I've got my embossing powder, I have my anti-static pouch. So we're going to take this and run it down the cardstock. That helps get rid of any static. Then we're going to stamp with our Versamark. Ink, 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 ink. And we're going to go here to the end. Hopefully my head isn't in the frame. Stamp that on there. Because Versamark is sort of a watercolor or a watermark ink, you don't really see what's happened. But then we sprinkle our embossing powder on there. Tap, tap. And there we go. We've got a nice stamped image on there. And then I can use my scrap paper to funnel this back in. Now, some people have a fancy contraption for gathering up their embossing powder. Even if you do have a fancy contraption, I like having the white paper here just for the stamping, because I can see the edges of my black cardstock better against the white than I can against my Versamat. So it's kind of got double duty there. It's gathering up the stuff, but it's also letting me see what it is I'm aiming for with that stamp. All right, bringing in my heat tool and lifting this up off my work surface so I can let the warm air swirl around it and not have to worry about it having any bad effects on the surface of my table. And we're just going to quickly heat emboss this. It's going to change from dry and powdery to shiny and white, a little bit glossy. That lovely look that we like to get from heat embossing. Now we've got a little bit of that anti-static pouch still on there, so fancy dancy. Rub it on our jeans. And I am wearing jeans today. I'm not even wearing pajama pants or anything. And then we're going to do some trimming. So I'm going to just come over here with my scissors and I'm going to trim like that. Then we're going to do some more trimming. I'm going to make these individual words. Now you could do this by actually cutting your stamp. Yes, you can cut your stamps. And I have done that, but I thought for this one, it's nice and evenly spaced. It's easy enough to just snip them apart because we've got this narrow space here. And I want to be able to get all my words hidden so that when this is closed and it's coming out of the envelope, you're not seeing these sticking out here and there. So let's add some adhesive on the just and the chicken and the in. So this makes a nice little springtime, thinking about you kind of card. You can give for any occasion in the spring, because it says welcome spring. So there we go. Just, and then you just decide where you want to put it. So I'm going to just kind of start here. And I'm going to center mine. You could put them all lined up on the left or all lined up on the right. But I thought I would just center mine. Just stuck it down too quick. Chicken. And you can put them straight or you could put them wonky. Sometimes it's good if you know you can't line them up very nicely. And it's good to do them wonky because then you can do the wonky on purpose so that nobody will know. In. And the tweezers come in handy for this too because I'm working at a weird angle here because we've got this pillar going on. And also then my fingers aren't in the way and I can line things up better. I'm also going to bring in the Honey Bunny embellishments, these cute Honey Bunny dots, which if you've looked on the website, you will notice they say sold out, but they are coming back in March. Joanne, you often forget the anti-static. Yes, I have done that too. And it's not, sometimes it's not bad, but sometimes on black especially, it'll just be really obvious if there's any stray little bits. However, saying that, if you have, now this is not a good example, if you have a little brush or something and they're just around the outside, before you heat emboss, you can just lightly, brush them away. Or even take this and kind of, scooch them out of the way. That will work. It's just kind of annoying when it does that, right? Because then you got to go through a whole second process. All right, so let me grab one that's got more options. There we go. I've obviously been having fun using these because they're so cute. We're going to grab one of these. And I'm going to put these on like I would see them when it first came out of the envelope. So we're going to stick one there. Let's grab this guy. Oh, I got hiccups. Stick him there. And one of the little peach ones. And stick him there. And I think that's just super fun because it adds another little shiny bit onto our card. And there we have it. Our spring pillar card. So pretty. A very cute display. And I think that would brighten anybody's day, right? That cute little chickie, the lovely spring daffodils, which are starting to come up in my garden. They're about, 5 inches. The little green shoots are coming up. So we've got started out with our white daisy card base. We added in those pattern papers from Honey Bunny and some peach cardstock. Then we stamped with our intense black ink and colored with our Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers, stamping out our sentiment, and then heat embossing in white our sentiment for the inside. Just a little bit of scoring and a whole lot of fun creates a fun display card that just stands lovely like that. And you can probably dream up a million ways to decorate a pillar card like this. And super simple. It's pretty much the same amount of paper it takes to make a regular card, just a little smidge more. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that spring pillar card come together. And I want you to keep in mind that our crop starts tomorrow, to Thursday through Sunday. The Tales of Beatrix Potter. Hope to see you then. All right, have a great night. Toodaloo. Bye.